When I was younger, I thought being a doctor meant saving lives every single day. You know, the white coat, the stethoscope, the big dramatic rescues. I thought it would feel like the shows on TV, but man, was I wrong. In reality, being a doctor is not what I expected. It's harder, it's heavier, and it's way more human. But honestly, I wouldn't trade it for anything. In today's video, I'm gonna walk you through what I mean by that. So let's go. So first, let's talk about expectations versus reality. When I first started this journey, I had three big expectations. First, I thought there'd be non-stop adrenaline. I imagined it would be constant action. Emergency rooms, crashing patients, the thrill of saving lives every shift. The stuff you see in movies where the doctor always knows exactly what to do. Point number two, endless gratitude. I thought patients would always be thankful. I pictured warm handshakes, grateful families, people telling me I changed their lives at every appointment. Man, was I wrong. And three, a highlight reel career. I thought I'd go home every day feeling like I did the most important work in the world. Like every day would be its own highlight reel. Little did I know that there's more to it. Reality looks a lot different. And it really comes down to three big lessons I had to learn. So now let's talk about the reality aspect of that. First things first, the paperwork no one told me about. In med school, nobody really emphasized just how much of your day is spent typing, charting notes, filling out referrals, writing prescriptions, checking lab results, refilling prescriptions. Sometimes you're just at the computer for hours after the clinic is already closed. I used to think that the biggest challenge would be mastering anatomy or memorizing pharmacology, understanding the histopathology slides, but instead the challenge was really just making sure I clicked the right boxes in my EMR before the system times out. And here's the thing, it matters. Behind every form, there's a real human. If I rush or if I make a mistake, that could be the difference between someone getting the right medication, being approved for health services, or even, dare I say it, ending up in the hospital. It's not glamorous, but it's part of the job. And honestly, it's part of what makes medicine so demanding. You're not just a doctor. You're also your own secretary, IT support, and sometimes even an amateur lawyer navigating forms and policies. Lesson number two, the emotional weight. No one really prepares you for this. The textbooks teach you how to diagnose, how to treat, how to follow algorithms, but nothing prepares you for looking someone in the eye, telling them that they may have cancer, or explaining to a parent that, hey, their mom isn't going to make it. It doesn't always end when you leave the hospital. For me, I feel like those conversations keep replaying in your head while you're brushing your teeth, trying to fall asleep. It's something that you don't really just forget. I'll never forget one of my first nights on call. A patient's family asked me, "Doctor, what would you do if this was your father?" I froze for a moment because in an instant, it wasn't about guidelines or lab values. It was about humanity. It was about honesty. That's the part nobody shows you on TV. They don't show you the quiet drive home after telling someone their loved one is gone. They don't show you the moments when you sit in your car, staring at that steering wheel, wondering if you did the right thing, if you did enough. But here's the surprising part. Sometimes the smallest things, sitting with someone in silence, listening to their fears, or simply even just holding their hands, it means more than any prescription you'll ever write. And that's when you realize that, hey, yes, medicine is science, but it's also deeply, deeply human. Lesson number three, the small wins. Like I've already said, I used to think medicine was about the big dramatic saves. You know, the moments when you pull someone back from the edge. Those happen, but to be honest, they're rare. What really keeps you going are the tiny victories. It's the patients who finally sleep through the night after days of being in the hospital. It's the woman whose blood pressure finally stabilizes after years of struggle. Or the young athlete who runs back onto the field because you helped fix their injury. Again, these aren't really front page headlines. They don't really feel cinematic in the moment, but they add up. All the wins stack up and they remind you why it is that you show up day after day. Medicine, specifically family medicine, I've learned isn't really about that big moment of glory. It's about those small, quiet victories that slowly build into something more meaningful. And the biggest surprise, being a doctor is less about the medicine and more about the people. Yes, I know the science matters, the protocol matters. Remember, that's what brings the patients into the room. But what patients remember most isn't always the diagnosis or the prescription. I feel they remember more how I made them feel. They remember whether I listened, whether I cared, whether they really felt safe in my presence. That's not what I expected going in, but I've noticed it's slowly becoming the part of medicine that I value most. So, bringing it back to the theme, like I said, being a doctor is not what I expected. It's heavier. It's lonelier at times. It demands more of you than you think you can give. And yet, it's also more meaningful. Because the truth is, being a doctor isn't about being that hero in every story. It's simply about just showing up consistently, quietly, in the small moments that matter most. Like I've always said, if you're dreaming about medicine, I want you to remember it's not the highlight reel that defines the career. It's the late nights, the paperwork, those tough conversations, and the little wins that no one's really clapping for. That being said, if you're already in the journey, you probably know exactly what I mean. You know the wait and you know the reward. Alright guys, if this gave you a real look behind the curtain of medicine, please don't forget to hit that subscribe button. On this channel, I'll be sharing more unfiltered stories, not just the polished ones, but the honest, raw truth of what family medicine looks like to me. Because like I said, medicine may not be what I expected it to be, but it's exactly where I feel like I'm meant to be. Until next time, tons of peace, love, and gains for you all.